Um, it is Scleroderma Awareness Month in June. It's also many other things in June. So I've kind of put off doing a video. But I wanted to make a little video and kind of explain what's going on with this disease that I have. Um, it affects approximately 300,000 people in the United States that have it. It takes a really long time to detect and a longer time to diagnose. Usually you know that you have it, but you need 3 to 5 years or they suspect you have it, I should say. But it takes a few years to diagnose on paper, which is kind of my situation right now. There are a lot of different ways it affects you. Some people have, there's two different basic kinds. There's limited and diffuse, and limited kind of um, starts off a little slower. You don't have as much of the skin involvement. There's not a lot of scarring, and you kind of get like hard places on your skin, on your arms, typically your trunk area. Um, with diffuse, the organ involvement starts faster. It kind of progresses faster, so people have a lot more physically visible scarring and stuff going on, calcinosis with their fingers and things like that. And then they also have faster organ involvement, which means your tissues are scarring inside of your body. It usually affects like the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, your GI tract. A lot of people start off with different symptoms. Symptoms are kind of all over the place. For me, I started with GERD and arthritis when I was about 12. I didn't really know anything was wrong. I thought it was kind of normal. You hear about arthritis on TV, and I was like, oh, it's just something that people get, like a headache, or like a muscle cramp. Like it's just something that happens to people. It's not really something that just happens to people. If you have arthritis, please talk to your doctor. Um, so it's been a really long time and I've had it for a while, but those like I've developed really slowly. Those have been my only two symptoms for a long time. I now have, there's a few other things and I can't remember how to pronounce them. Raynaud's happens with your fingers and toes, sometimes your arms or your nose. Where basically, your fingers don't get great blood circulation. They turn white or they turn purple or they turn white and then they turn purple and tingle and sting and hurt when the blood returns. Basically you just can't handle cold very well. So when you get cold, that happens to your fingers. So that's really fun. That's been happening to me for a couple years, but it's kind of really, um, for me, it started off really mild, so I didn't really think it was anything serious. It just like I noticed like my nails would get a little purple when I was cold, which I just thought was like a cold finger thing. Like cartoons, they get cold and their fingers turn blue. Like it's a thing. It's a thing that people get. And you can have Raynaud's without having scleroderma, but it is one of the first big symptoms that kind of point doctors towards scleroderma. Um, Another thing I have that is very mild for me as well is starts with a T, and I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, so I'm not even going to try. But basically, those little spider veins, those little veins on the surface of your skin, um, you get those all over your face. I have a couple. I have one here, and then I have some a little bit deeper right here that cause like a purple area right here. Um, Mine aren't that bad right now. I am hoping they stay not bad, but the likelihood of that is not very great. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at right now. I do not have any skin involvement yet. There is a type that you don't get any skin involvement ever, which is frustrating because it also affects your diagnosis and what kind of how long things take. My rheumatologist right now, rheumatologists aren't really that familiar with this disease, so they're not very good at treating it or diagnosing it, even though they're the people you should technically go to. So they kind of do the best they can, but they don't really know what they're doing, which is understandable. So anyways, my doctor right now is kind of like she's trying to diagnose me on which I just realized, and I'm going to talk to her about. She's using the criteria that you use for clinical trials, which requires you to have a lot of skin involvement, which I don't have and I might never get because I've apparently had this thing for years and years at like a mild undiagnosable level. So anyway, so it's just weird getting diagnosed and you can't get help with certain things until you're diagnosed. For instance, I have a lot of GI involvement and I'm going in for an endoscopy and a colonoscopy at the end of this month, and the insurance won't cover it as um what was it say? As preventative because of my age. So usually they don't cover it for preventative until you're 50 or 55. Um, but that's different for people with diseases like this because part of the disease is that it attacks your organs, it scars them, keeps them from functioning. Eventually they break down and you die, or you need an organ replacement. But it shortens life by an average of 15 to 35 years, depending on which type you have. Um, it's almost always terminal. In the cases where it's not, it's are typically the cases where people had really slow progression and they end up dying at kind of a normal age. Which for like my demographic is, I believe, 79. Um, so that's fun. Anyways, but my point was that it's frustrating not getting diagnosed because then getting letters and sending over medical records, to the insurance to try to get things covered. Like I'm going to have to pay 2,500 out of pocket if I can't get them to cover this as a preventative thing, which is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have CT scans constantly for the next forever for the rest of my life. Um, X-rays, CTs, MRIs. I'm getting an MRI later today for my spine because I have some weird stuff going on with my nerves, which is another thing that can happen with this disease. I don't know if this is connected with that or if this is like they think it might be a herniated disc. But I've had nerve stuff since I was like 10 or 11. Um, I've had a pinched nerve in my neck that hurts a lot. On and off, but kind of just never diagnosed it. I have a lot of stuff that I just thought was normal and I never went to see a doctor. So if you have weird stuff going on, go see a doctor because there might be something, might have a terminal illness that like is a rare disease and nobody knows what to do. And it's going to be like a super awesome moment when somebody finds out. And it's like, it's bittersweet because you're like, I'm so glad that they found out that somebody knows what this is. So I don't just have question marks for the rest of my life and not know what's wrong with me and not know how to treat it. But then also like, you don't want to hear this news that like, hey, you have a terminal illness and you are probably going to die, in the next 20, 30 years. Um, Not the greatest news. So bittersweet, but that's my little video on scleroderma. I might do another one that looks better, but this is kind of where I'm at right now. It's like 102 degrees outside and I'm sitting on my back porch and it's actually kind of nice with the shade and the breeze and stuff. And um I am really frustrated that I have this stupid disease and I don't like it, but I also don't want to be scared of it and I don't want it to rule my life. And I'm trying to do things and find things that bring me joy now. Um, which right now is making my back garden, my backyard, a oasis of love and healing and joy, which involves a lot of bushes that I've purchased. I've spent about $2,000 on this backyard. I'm about to go buy a tree. So I don't know, but go see your doctor if you have stuff going on. Just like, don't wait, don't put it off. It's better to have answers and to know how to keep yourself healthy and extend your life if you can. Um, and to just get support for what's going on. Like it sucks to have stuff going on in your body and like not know what it is and then just feel like you can't talk about it or whatever. Like it sucks. Totally sucks. Um, so that's the end of my video. Have a wonderful day.